Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. So a big thank you to everybody in our family, 21st Century Wire, 21 Wire family, who've supported us either by donating or even better, subscribe and become a member with 21wire.tv. That is our inexpensive way of supporting us on a month-to-month basis. So again, a big shout out there for our winter fundraising drive. And this is what it takes. This is an absolute listener and viewer supported alternative media platform. Okay. We're not getting political money from Elon Musk or Peter Thiel like many other so-called alternative media outlets that are getting funded by all this far right cash. Okay. That's not happening here. The way that we report the issues, we're more objective, we're more fact-based, and we're not hitching a ride on the, MAGA train or whatever. It's not happening. So this is not a far-right media outlet, okay? But we welcome conservatives, we welcome liberals, we welcome people on the left, people on the right to come into this conversation, because we're going to tell you what's happening, how it is, not how we want it to be. We're going to tell you how it is. And I think the people that are here appreciate us for that. That's why you follow us. That's why you support us. So thank you very much. Now, put Epstein up there and MAGA, because those are the two sort of issues that are crossing and canceling each other out, really, truth be known. And we explain why. And so it's there. Next one is this one. Now, equally fascinating, because what happened just a few, 12 or 24 hours after we published this, the United States went all guns blazing into Venezuela. So that's going to be the main part of this conversation today. But do read this and do look at the previous years. You can see we get quite a few things right. And some things take longer to come to fruition. Maybe not in a year, but a few. But the point is, you can kind of get an idea of how we're looking at geopolitics, how we're looking at the world, and why, again, the conversations that we're having are relevant on this show, the Sunday Wire, and at 21stcenturywire.com. And that's why we have such an intelligent audience. Now, one of those, of course, as we said, is this. This is the plate from that. It's now been, Trump's next move. That was before Christmas. That's the graphic we used before Christmas. But things have changed. So it's not Trump's next move. Now it's this, Trump's latest war. So this is the peace president, and who campaigned on no new wars was just a trope. And that's why we're going to focus on this. Obviously, what happened last 24 hours is unbelievable. And it sets a it puts the U.S. and the world down a very dark path, a very dark path. And what you have to understand is, aside from Nicolas Maduro here, and we'll talk about that, these are criminals. Donald Trump, there's the psychotic criminals. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, you can't see all his tattoos because he's wearing a suit. And then you've got sort of Captain Kirk's right hand there, Marco Rubio, chief operations on the bridge, who is just a complete psychopath. And behind him are some of the worst drug cartel criminals you can imagine. That's who he represents. He represents the Israel lobby, and he represents organized crime. That's Marco Rubio. Unfortunately, he's Secretary of State in the U.S. That's problematic, but anyway, very sad. So what they've done is a massive snatch and grab operation in Venezuela. This is what they've done for the last 24 hours, and they've written quite a few checks they will not be able to cash. I can tell you right now. A lot of promises have been made, a lot of things have been said, and the likelihood that they're going to be able to deliver on any of this, even a little bit of it, I don't think this is not going to end well for Trump, for Washington, and probably not for Venezuela either. It's going to be very ugly. Okay. So they're doing a victory lap right now. They're all very pleased with themselves. We'll show you, we'll pick out a few choice moments from Trump's his address. I mean, it was just the most incoherent slobbering on the microphone. I don't know what's wrong with Donald Trump, but he is not looking good or sounding good. He's a complete mess. Okay. Now we'll cut right to the address, the press conference, and then we'll look at just some of the highlights. I'm probably going to pause as well, and we might jump around a little bit in terms of the time codes on this, but I don't know what to say. It's just beyond the pale. Anyway? Look, let's bring up onto the screen here. This is the big press event at Mar-a-Lago yesterday, and we'll play a few things. I mean, honestly, it's left a lot of people speechless. So here is the Don Rowe doctrine. I mean, this guy's just a complete piece of work. We'll critique some of the things he said. Obviously, it's not even necessary at this point because it's so ridiculous. But here's the U.S. President Donald Trump, and let's cue this up. This starts right about here. Yeah.
Its military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90% each.
This is one of those lies that he keeps repeating. And, when he's got a good lie that sounds good to him and is not a very sophisticated lie, but good enough to basically bamboozle a low IQ, completely brain dead and intellectually challenged audience at Fox News, Newsmax, One America News, and all these other sort of right-wing talk radio. I mean, it's the sort of people that are still clinging to these media outlets are not very bright because they believe a lot of this stuff. Donald Trump says we've knocked out 97%. I mean, this is about as much of a BS claim as COVID vaccines are 97% effective, okay? It's the same type of garbage, okay? Most of the drugs enter the United States by land, okay? And most of the ones that come by sea don't come on the Caribbean side. They come on the Pacific side, okay? Just to be clear. And quite a bit of them come by military transport, which those aren't going to get caught, are they? No. And nor is the massive amounts of narcotics trafficked by America's Central Intelligence Agency and the DEA. So what he's talking about, 97% of drugs by boat in the Atlantic or the Caribbean or whatever, 97% of nothing. Okay? Anyway, how could he verify those statistics in such a short time? It's just a lie. Okay? But there's too many lies. If you had to break this speech down, I mean, you'd be here all day. It would take us about an hour to analyze each 5 minutes of this. It's a complete joke. And he is slobbering through this. He's got a problem. He's slurring. Might be on heavy medication. Nobody knows. You have to remember, he's as old as Biden was during the 2 years into his last term, Joe Biden. So Trump is an old man, okay? He's not that sharp. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's surrounded by a bunch of grifters. And quite frankly, this is about as much of a criminal gang as you can imagine. That's very sad for a country like the United States, okay? No decorum, no respect for the Constitution, which we'll show you, nor the rule of law. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Boat kills on average 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs.
Each drug boat kills 25,000 people. I mean, just making it up.
Mostly come from place called Venezuela.
Right, that's a lie. Most of the drugs don't come from Venezuela. Almost nothing comes from Venezuela into the United States. That's a provable fact. How do I know that? Just read the DEA's own website. This is the President of the United States, sadly. Sadly. So this is the justification for this egregious international crime that he has just, this caper that he has just waged on in the name of the American people. This president.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious.
Judicious.
Because that's what we're all about.
Judicious. Does he mean judicial? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy is a disgrace. Donald Trump is a disgrace to the country, to himself, to the office of the president. He's just blabbing and babbling on. This guy makes George Bush look like a Nobel physics winner. This guy makes George Bush Jr. look like a Nobel laureate scientist. It's pretty abysmal. So he's openly saying we're taking over the government. So how is that any different than saying that Venezuela is now a U.S. colony? And this ridiculous, high school document that they released called the National Security Strategy. Like, I don't know who wrote this, but it was like a copy and pasted undergraduate monograph. Okay? I'm not exaggerating. It's like copy and pasted. That was Trump's national security strategy. It was a joke. I don't know who wrote that or who signed off on it, but it's really sad. And it was all about, we respect the sovereignty of countries. So they released that, claiming they respect nation states and sovereignty, and now they've taken over, expropriated a whole country as a colony under military threat, and done extraordinary rendition to take their president away, their head of state. Unbelievable.
We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland.
Trump doesn't give a you-know-what about the people of Venezuela. All he cares about is stealing their oil. Okay? Let's be clear. That's the fact of the matter. So we'll leave this for the moment, and let's just go back. This is what the president said about whether, this was a few days ago on Fox, whether this was legal or not. Actually, this is early in the morning before this speech. I'm going to play you a clip from a great podcast, Daniel Davis's Deep Dive. Okay, let me bring this video up. Listen closely. Okay, listen closely. This is from Fox, and then commentary with Daniel Davis.
But as far as last night is concerned, it was really genius. What they did is genius, and. Yeah. The Democrats, maybe they'll take a shot. They'll take a shot. All they do is complain. They don't talk about, they should say, you know what, we did a great job. We're stopping drugs from coming into this country. And nobody's been able to do it until we came along. But they should say, great job. They shouldn't say, oh, gee, maybe it's not constitutional. The same old stuff that we've been hearing for years and years and years.
Okay, that right there should alarm every American, even if you're a big supporter of President Trump. That should be alarming. His mocking of anyone saying we should follow the Constitution. Even if you're a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA person, at least on paper, anyone who is a MAGA supporter is supposed to prioritize the U.S. Constitution above Donald Trump as a person. You can be a big supporter of the president. You can have voted for him. You can cheer him on. But even he is supposed to be held accountable and subordinate to the U.S. Constitution. And when you hear that guy mock the Constitution or anyone who says we should follow it, that is a big red flag.
That's Daniel Davis. I mean, that's one of the best podcasts on the whole internet. You know, the thing I respect about Daniel Davis, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, and also Douglas McGregor, is they actually believe in the rule of law. They actually believe in the U.S. Constitution. It's not just an impediment that's stopping some means to an end of some smash and grab operation or some of these neocons. Trump is a neocon, okay? He is a neocon in exactly the same vein as George Bush. Trump lied to the American people. To get the independent vote in America, you need to be an anti-war candidate. This is what George Bush Jr. did. This is what Barack Obama did. Okay, this is what Donald Trump did in his first term. So you have to put on this sort of facade of being against war, being against regime change. Okay, and then when you get in, you do the opposite. And what Trump has gone back on that, I mean, he's just stabbed his base in the back. The MAGA's dead. MAGA's finished. Trump killed it. Okay, well, let's bring the man back up here, and we'll go on. I mean, you've heard that. Let's just advance a little bit. This is quite an interesting point here.
In Florida, but we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And
that's a complete lie by Trump. He's lying through his teeth. Venezuela wasn't threatening the United States. So it's funny how Trump claims to be the victim. He's attacking Venezuela. U.S. has been sanctioning them. U.S. has destroyed the Venezuelan economy. U.S. has attacked their currency, causing hyperinflation, sanctioned them for the better part of 20 years. The U.S. has tried to overthrow Chavez and Maduro not once, not twice, 3 times, 4 times. The United States did that, as they've done to countless other governments. So spare us the fake lecture. You dilapidated, sad old man, Donald Trump. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And anyone that believes any of this, honestly, I can't help you. Good luck. Good luck. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. Listen to this.
also, and in addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States.
So Trump is telling a huge lie here because there's no evidence that Maduro trafficked any drugs into the United States. Okay, it's definitely not even massive amounts, but hardly anything. Nothing probably from Maduro himself. Are there criminals working through or using Venezuela as a sort of, way station or route into traffic through via Colombia and Ecuador and whatnot? Of course. Just like the United States is full of drug traffickers. But again, the biggest traffickers in the Western Hemisphere are the CIA. And globally, not just in the Western Hemisphere, in Asia, Southeast Asia, traditionally, United States. But Donald Trump himself just pardoned the biggest drug trafficker convicted in a U.S. federal court, the former president of Honduras, a criminal named Juan Orlando Hernandez. Trump just let him off because somebody ordered Trump to let him go. No, and they won't say where the order came from. Trump just says, oh, he was treated badly by someone told me he was treated badly by Biden. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, did the drug cartels tell Trump to let Hernandez out? Because Hernandez is a major drug trafficker, hundreds or thousands of tons of cocaine he trafficked into the U.S. Who is telling Donald Trump to let him go? Benjamin Netanyahu? Marco Rubio? The drug cartels? We don't know. There should be a Senate or congressional hearing about this issue. How can the president pardon a convicted major drug cartel actor while he's claiming to be fighting a war on drugs? There should be a Senate hearing. This should be well above even impeachment in terms of a priority, because it means that, is the president compromised by criminal interests? That certainly the Democrats were. That's why they had an open border. That's why they opened the border for human trafficking and drugs. And the Democrats thought this was a great idea because they would get Democratic voters. That's why all the Venezuelans flooded in during Trump's first term, and during Biden's term, and during Obama's term. Not just Venezuelans, people from Guatemala, people from other countries. The Democrats wanted voters. They wanted to turn Texas blue. And this served the interests of the cartels. And this is why some people would say that many U.S. politicians are in the pockets of the cartels. Just look at their policies. They're letting people in. They're letting human trafficking go unchecked. They're letting drugs in unchecked, the U.S. government. And they're pardoning convicted drug felons like Trump does. Trump has pardoned so many drug convictions. I mean, who is giving these orders to Trump? The American people have a right to know. This should be a Senate major investigation. They need to do a commission about this, because this gets right to the heart of the issue. Who is actually pushing and running and pulling the strings of the U.S. government? So this show with taking Venezuela down, to me, is a massive facade. And there's a lot of corruption behind this. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. This guy is just an unbelievable piece of work.
Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado.
That's a lie. Okay. A lot of this stuff was just cooked up rumor by certain individuals on social media who are affiliated with Israel. Maduro didn't send Tren de la Agua or whatever into America. And Trump's going to say something stupid like they took over an apartment building in Colorado. I mean, this is just retarded. Honestly, this is so stupid.
They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they call police. They were brutal.
And he's trying to blame that on Maduro, which is quite amazing. And then he says Maduro is the head of the Cartel de las Soles. And the Cartel de las Soles, if you want to trace back that name, that's a CIA front. So he's saying Maduro's in charge of a CIA organization that doesn't exist at the moment in Venezuela. I mean, these people are just unbelievable. The level of lying and just fabrications on this, honestly, there's not enough time in the day to break it down.
But they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we...
Oh, my gosh. As he rambles on just completely incoherently about putting troops on the streets in America for quite a long time. And then, so let's just move fast forward a little bit.
It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela.
Trump is fighting wars 10,000 miles away. He bombed Iran unprovoked. And he's promised to bomb Iran again in a few weeks with Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago.
Oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill. And the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country.
So Donald Trump doesn't actually know what he's talking about. So American companies are working in Venezuela today. Chevron is a good example. But the U.S. companies were ripping off Venezuela, and Venezuela, when they had an election, and elections have consequences, Republicans, you love saying that, and they nationalized and took back a lot of the oil. And this is when the U.S. started waging war on Venezuela during Bush Jr., late 90s, early 2000s, 1990s, early 2000s. Okay? That's when the sanctions started. That's when the coups began, you see. And so what the U.S. do, what Trump does, and he's claiming that it's U.S. property, like Venezuela, he's claiming the U.S. owns Venezuela and that they have the rights to take what they want for an infinite period of time. So obviously some governments will come in and say no. You know, most governments would reject that. Serious governments would reject it, like the Chinese. Who are the world superpowers? Chinese wouldn't put up with it. Russians wouldn't put up with it. Venezuela didn't put up with it. And so the U.S. decided to wage war against them permanently. And what the U.S. do is strangle the country with sanctions. Don't allow Venezuela to sell its oil, okay? Then it won't allow them to have the money to upkeep their energy infrastructure. And then the U.S. and Marco Rubio and all these people would turn around and say, and there's plenty of people on social media, sort of fake conservatives, were saying, oh, it's terrible what Maduro has done to the economy of Venezuela. The U.S. did that by sanction. There was some girl saying, oh, I provide things for the children in Venezuela, some U.S. conservative, phony, humanitarian who's saying, oh, Maduro's just destroyed the country. No, the U.S. destroyed it. The U.S. destroyed it. And then they blame the quote, regime, and they say, oh, the regime is stealing all the money. That's why the economy is in free fall. No, it's because the U.S. basically declared war on their currency, pushed it into hyperinflation, sanctioned them, embargoed them, and they're strangling the country, hoping that people will rise up and overthrow the government. And it doesn't happen. So the U.S., they failed. So now they have to come in and physically remove the fucking president. Pardon my French. I have to cut that out on the live stream. Honestly, it's just, people are so stupid that they can't work this out. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So Trump is saying that that Venezuela has kicked the U.S. out of the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. is the one attacking Venezuela. I mean, so none of this makes any sense. It's completely ridiculous. So, look, back to, we'll bring this back here. And so they've arrested Maduro, they've taken him, they've abducted him and his wife. Now, why they've taken the wife is because she's obviously not involved in anything other than she's married to the president. She's active politically. But they didn't want to leave her in Venezuela because she would be a sort of icon of defiance against the U.S. protecting her husband. So the U.S. and Trump did something very vicious and shrewd, which is they kidnapped the wife too, and then trumped up some fake charges against her for terrorism or something stupid. And so they're going to put her on ice for a year and a half while this thing works its way through the Southern District of New York, which is going to take 2 years. Trump won't even be in office by the time this goes to trial. And when it does, it's going to be a farce. They're not going to get a conviction. They're probably not going to get a conviction. But why have they kidnapped the wife? Because they didn't want her in public advocating for her husband and becoming an icon of defiance. That's how desperate and weak the United States is. They can't even allow his wife to be free. Weak. Because they can't win on the arguments or in real politics, so they have to use threats, intimidation, and break the law in order to get what they want. That's the fact. So that explains that. And, of course, we get to the oil. Why is the oil such a big deal? The United States is in trouble, okay? They're in trouble because the reason the U.S. can spend $1.3 trillion a year on their military is because they can run a budget deficit and go into debt $2.5 trillion a year. They can overspend what they take in. They don't take enough in to have this world police military, Team America military operation. So they have to go over their budget. So to do that is dangerous because when you start printing up dollars, the value of the dollar could plunge to nothing. So the thing that saves the dollar is something called the world reserve currency, which is the petrodollar. That's the old system. After the Bretton Woods was phased out, in the early 1970s, the U.S. became an oil-backed dollar. So the demand for dollars globally, as long as people used dollars and held them in reserve to buy and sell oil and other commodities, that creates an artificial demand for the U.S. dollar, so countries need it, and countries will also keep buying U.S. Treasury bills and U.S. debt. That stabilizes the value of the dollar, which allows the U.S. to have this bloated, massive military all over the world, which they use to attack and steal and strangle countries. So when countries stop using the dollar, like the BRICS countries, like Venezuela, for oil, all of a sudden the U.S. dollar is in trouble. If you read our predictions and you read our conspiracies for the 2025 and 2026, we explain this. And this is why Trump is desperate. The tariff thing was a failure. It's ruined the economy. It's created indecision. It's tightened it up. You've got inflation and a stagnant economy. Stagflation. That's what Trump did. It was a desperate move, and it failed. It's a disaster. Long term, it's going to be a real disaster. He's trying to make it sound like this was a great thing. The tariffs was the ultimate faceplant. Okay, who talked him into doing that? I don't know. All it's done is hasten the demise of the U.S. dollar. So he has to go and steal Venezuela, that has the world's largest proven oil reserves, because he wants to steal their gold, their silver, and their oil. Not just oil, gold and silver as well, which Venezuela has. Trump just wants to steal it. And this is how he's going to somehow save the U.S. dollar from free fall. But it's not going to work. But does the world have to be attacked in order to protect the value of the U.S. dollar so the U.S. can build this massive military on steroids, which they can't even afford? The only thing allowing them to do it is the fake demand for artificial demand by commodities being sold in U.S. dollars. I mean, that's the trap the U.S. empire is in. If no other country can do this, no other country can spend $1 trillion that they don't have on an army they use to control the world It's a genius system, but it's unraveling because the United States is stupid, and they started over sanctioning people. So countries are like, we don't want to use the dollar because you're going to punish us, like Venezuela, like Russia, like North Korea, like Iran. So the way that Trump and the U.S. are reacting is to basically go smash and grab, steal, threaten, kill, assassinate, abduct, steal the country's oil. He's openly saying it. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. But the oil piece is massive. It's really very significant. So we'll go back to Trump. I mean, there's a few more doozies here. We'll give him a little bit more airtime, and then we'll have to move on.
Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border.
That's so stupid. They used the weapons against the U.S., went and killed. I don't know how many Venezuelans that Trump killed yesterday, but the United States was the only people that used weapons. I mean, this is the problem with this. I mean, let's look at the indictment. Here we go. This is it. Here's Pam Bondi. Let's bring it up on stage. Okay. Let's look at what the great Attorney General, Israel's Attorney General, has to say. Let's find out here. We'll bring this up in a moment. What does Pam Bondi have to say about this? Let's take a look. We'll bring this up on screen. There we are. So if you read the indictment, this is what they posted on X is unbelievable. What they managed to post on X, and what are they actually indicting Maduro for? This is the thing. What are they actually, indicting Maduro for? Difficult to say. Let's bring it up on screen again. Here we go. There it is. Okay. Here we are. There you go, folks. I mean, I thought this was a joke. That's what they posted. Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. Narco terrorism conspiracy. So narco terrorism is a made-up term. It doesn't mean anything. And it's a way to use terrorism in order to get a NDAA or some kind of fake emergency or whatever for U.S. law to justify deployment or whatever. Cocaine import conspiracy, like the CIA do. And I love this. Here it is. Possession of machine guns. So as president, he's the head of the armed forces, and he's being charged with possession of machine guns. Is this a joke? Folks? Is this a joke? This is not serious. What are these people talking about? This is crazy. There it is. Take a good look at it. Possession of machine guns. What's a machine gun? What, an AR-15, a Kalashnikov, an Uzi? The kind that... is that illegal in the United States to have a machine gun? No. It's called the Second Amendment. Unbelievable. I mean, it just gets more ridiculous the more you look into this. It is the biggest pile of BS in history. To use a Trump to use a Trump turn of phrase, no one's seen BS like this. No one's done BS like this. It's just pretty amazing. So we'll bring this back here, and we'll bring it back to Trump. Just a few more just important points to make here. I mean, let's go here a little bit further. So this is Pete Hegseth talking about the iron will, the iron will of America.
And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime.
So that's it. Project our will, you see. So this is that's what that is. Project our will. So let's listen to Colonel Daniel Davis again on this. Okay, bring back. Listen.
Fairly hostile to the United States. And I haven't given a lot of...
So here Trump is threatening the Colombian president with regime change right to his face. Okay, this was on television not so long ago. Listen closely to Trump on this.
To the United States, and I haven't given a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
Do you see what's happening here, folks? I mean, now here's Trump is now, not that he's in the process, not that he's moving towards it. He is now an imperial president. He has gotten to the point to where he now has no constraints on his power. He can do whatever he wants to whomever he wants. And he has a loyalist sitting at the head of the now Department of War who lusts after that job and is enthusiastic to do any and everything asked of him to do without question or hesitation. Doesn't matter if it violates the Constitution, the American law, international law, no consequence, no consideration given to that at all. So he's done it in Iran. He's done it now in Venezuela. He's threatening to do it in Colombia. He's again threatening Greenland, of all places. And he's again, just a couple of days ago, threatening to go back into Iran. And he's saying, well, they better negotiate. Well, you've seen what's happened when they negotiated. You understand that when he did that the first time in June of last year, they were negotiating, actively in the process of negotiating. We had plans for our negotiating team to meet, and then we attacked. He said, and I think I showed you this just yesterday, basically less than 24 hours before the attack happened, he went on television and said they have 2 weeks to negotiate, knowing full well that he'd already given the attack plan. So that completely undercuts our word on anything.
There it is, folks. Again, that's Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, Deep Dive, a great podcast. I'm on that show as a guest sometimes. What he said is so true. And so let's bring up again and look at. Well, we'll look at this in a moment, but I just want to bring us back to those core issues. Okay. You have to understand the U.S. has used negotiations, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4, 5 times as cover for a sneak attack. And they just did it again. Donald Trump is very dishonest. He's playing dirty. And the problem is, this is going to hurt negotiations with Russia because they've done it again. When the U.S., on the eve of negotiations against Iran, the U.S. and Israel launched a sneak attack to try to take out the Iranian government, unprovoked. They used negotiations to lull the Iranians off guard and then struck to try to take out the government. Make a note, that was in June. Around the same time, the U.S. claimed to be brokering serious peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. And just as those negotiations were going, Ukraine, with the help of the CIA, British intelligence, NATO, launched a sneak attack to take out Russia's nuclear deterrent, their long-range bombers, Operation Spider's Web. That's twice. Third time, Israel attacked Qatar during U.S.-brokered Hamas negotiations. They tried to take out the Hamas leadership during negotiations by pretending to be, and the U.S. was deeply involved in this. That's 3 times. Fourth time, U.S. Russia-Ukraine negotiations. What happened over Christmas? 91 drones sent. 91 drones sent to attack Vladimir Putin's residency. And Donald Trump is lying. He said he didn't know anything about it, but the CIA knew about it. So who's telling is it that the CIA doesn't tell Trump what's going on, or they told him and he's lying to the Russians and lying to the public, saying that he didn't know anything about it? Another sneak attack during serious negotiations. Did they try to take out the Russian president? And in this case, Trump openly says, I was negotiating with Maduro, and then I stopped negotiating, and he wanted to make a deal, and I said, I don't want to make a deal. And what happens right after this? They abduct a head of state and take him to New York on fake trumped-up charges, narco terrorism, possession of machine guns. Again, another sneak attack, pretending to negotiate. So why would anyone want to negotiate with Donald Trump and the Trump administration? They've got this dirty tactic of using negotiations to mount sneak attacks. This is very, very dirty. That's why we're calling this the dirty war on Venezuela. It's a dirty war. It's hard to know where to start on this. So here's Rubio, and bring him back. Listen to this.
It's going to play out, and I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, you know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, you know, he's got other sets of problems on his hands.
It's easy to play big boy, Marco Rubio, when you're using the U.S. military to intimidate and overthrow anybody, okay? So Maduro is not guilty of anything but a threat to the U.S. national interest. Can you define what is the U.S. national interest? How long is a piece of string? This is a violation of U.S. constitutional law, the War Powers Act of 1973. There was no congressional authorization. Venezuela was not threatening to attack the United States. There is no statutory instrument from Congress authorizing this. You did not consult Congress. It's illegal. It's illegal. It's a violation of the UN Charter, and under international law, a whole host of violations. It's against U.S. basic treaty law. So what on earth is Marco Rubio talking about? They're just making it up as they go along. Making it up as they go along. And Rubio says, this is a president of peace. I mean, these people are just unbelievable. They're so far gone. And just why would anyone trust these people? They're criminal. They're acting and talking like criminals, but they're doing it like they have something behind, some morals or ethics behind them. They don't. This is open criminality on a level that's so blatant. It's worse than Bush. Worse than Bush Jr. and the neocons during that period. This is way worse. Because at least back then they tried to put on a show and faked it in order to retain some credibility and respect. These guys don't care. Marco Rubio is on a jihad, some kind of blood feud against Fidel Castro, and he's playing this drama out in 2025. It's pretty incredible. Pretty unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. So it's not constitutional. Senator Mike Lee tried to defend this from Utah. Based Mike Lee, that's his Twitter handle. Just clown-like. And here's that clip, and again, commentary from Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis on this. I mean, it is this crazy, folks. It is this crazy. We'll play this. Listen closely, again, on that constitutional issue.
Mike Lee came out today and was reported also on Fox News about how he interprets the Constitution and what he said that basically gives a blank check and a free pass to the president.
Has been arrested by U.S. personnel to stand trial on criminal charges in the United States, and that the kinetic action we saw tonight was deployed to protect and defend those executing the arrest warrant. This action likely falls within the president's inherent.
Just time out. So Mike Lee and Rubio are claiming that bombing Venezuela while they kidnapped the president, that anybody that was killed or any bombs dropped were to protect the U.S. soldiers who were going in to kidnap the president. So they can basically scorched earth, whatever. It's according to him, it's legally justified to protect our soldiers who are in another country kidnapping a head of state. I mean, this is just completely insane.
Authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to protect U.S. personnel from an actual or imminent attack.
Yeah, that's not what the Constitution says. Our Article 2 does not say that if there's an imminent or attack against the United States, you can use that under Article 2. First of all, even at that, it's embarrassing for Senator Lee to bring that up. Was Nicolas Maduro about to attack the United States? Was he? That there clearly is nothing. Instead, he just categorically states, yeah, this probably falls under that jurisdiction of Article 2. Article 2, all it says is that the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And it does specify after it has been authorized by the U.S. Congress in Article 1. Was this authorized by Congress before it happened? No. Pointedly not. There were actually some legal actions to try and quantify this before, and none of it passed. So no one authorized anything. So for a U.S. senator to stand there and say this falls within Article 2 of the Constitution, which it clearly doesn't, is I mean, it's an abdication of responsibility.
Oh, it's I think Daniel Davis is being generous there. It's worse than that. Based Mike Lee. Like a U.S. senator puts based on his Twitter handle. I mean, it's just like adolescent. You know, it's clownish. And based Mike Lee lied about the constitutional legality of this. It's kind of scary. These people, you know, swear an oath to defend and protect the U.S. Constitution, not Donald Trump. The Constitution supersede their, quote, loyalty to the president. If you're swearing an oath to the president, you're a fascist. Okay? You're in dereliction of your oath, your duty. I mean, that is the glue that holds the country together and ultimately at least creates some coherence. When that goes, anything can happen and chaos can ensue. And believe you me, you think it's going to be confined to what you think you can control now? The world's changing very fast. The U.S. wants to go down this road. Good luck. Good luck. You're not safe just because you have an Atlantic and Pacific Ocean on either side. If it's going to be this new smash and grab policy, do not be surprised if some very, very bad things happen to the United States as a result. Because this is the dark road that this administration is taking the country down. And that's not absolving Joe Biden and Obama and Bush and Clinton and so forth and other previous administrations for all the killing and massacring and holocausts which they have carried out, and assassinations and coups and regime change. I mean, it's just, the United States is just an incredible criminal enterprise. It's just now it's out of the closet, and they're basically saying, screw the rule of law. We'll do what we want. We'll install anybody we want. If we don't like the person and we don't like what they're saying, we're going to take them out. We're going to kill them, and we're going to steal all your resources. And if you try to stop us, we're going to crush you and destroy you. That's effectively what is being said. Because we say, as Rubio says, it's in our national interests. What a steaming refuse pile of toxic waste these people have created here. Unbelievable. So we'll look at some of the reactions here. So this is an interesting character named Tim Pool. I still don't know anybody that actually watches his show. So I'm wondering, are all his audience bots, or it's hard to work it out. He was like a Bernie Sanders leftist who then became a MAGA Trumpist. And he's saying the U.S. economy is about to boom. Tons of free oil heading our way. There he is, Tim Pool. What an interesting character. So that's the top tier of YouTube right there. YouTube loves this type of content, by the way. So does the CIA. So what these people, if you're in violation of your oath, and of course the president didn't even put his hand on the Bible when he was sworn in. He wasn't really sworn in this last inauguration. Did anybody else notice that? I did. There's something, there's a word for that. There's a word for that. It starts with a T. And quite a few people are guilty of it. They swore an oath to defend and protect the United States Constitution against any foreign enemies, foreign or domestic. And they themselves are undermining and attacking the U.S. Constitution. Then they become an enemy of America. The people in charge are acting as enemies of the state. That's a very dangerous situation. So yeah, you have a lot of these MAGA. There's a guy named Owen Schroyer who used to be with InfoWars, and he is just so on point. I'm going to play, he posted this. He was driving in his car. He uploaded this video. And let me see if I can bring this one up on screen, which is an excellent comment that he made. Let me see if we can make this happen here. This is Owen Schroyer. He's got his own podcast. And basically he's calling out MAGA as just a complete fraud. And the way he puts it, I can't say it any better than he is saying it here. Let's make this work. This is Owen Schroyer, former InfoWars. I think he was sacked for criticizing Trump or something. I don't know the details of his exit from InfoWars, but what he's saying here is so spot on.
You know, it's honestly crazy what MAGA has become. And I'm all for people having different political opinions. I don't want to exist in a cult. You know, people are going to have different opinions than I have, and they're going to have different policies that they support, and they're going to have different things that they want to see done and different ways of getting them done. This is normal. We should all have different ideas, and we should be hearing different ideas. But to watch whatever it is now, formerly known as MAGA, the Trump base, turn into just slop-eating sheeple is really incredible. And if you're evaluating this from a psychological perspective, there is probably no greater testament to this being the case than what we're seeing today. This is a regime change war. This is a special interest regime change war for the oil companies. This is a foreign interest regime change war for Israel. That's what this is. And so if you support that, then that's fine. You have every right as an American to express that opinion and to support that policy from Donald Trump. But don't kid yourselves. Don't become dishonest and people that are lost in a world that doesn't exist. Oh, Trump defeated communism. No, he didn't. Did we end the welfare state? Did we stop all the foreign aid? Are we going to invade China next? This was not about communism. Stop it. Oh, he's stopping the drugs. He's stopping the killer drugs. The CIA runs the narco game. Big Pharma, the COVID-19 vaccines, where are the drugs coming from? They're coming from Mexico. Oh, it's about ending the drugs. Stop it. Just admit what it is. And if you support it, then that's fine. But see, the fact that they can't be honest about what it is, that's the psychological tell. They are in denial. They know they've been deceived. They know this is not what they voted for. They know this is everything that Trump stood against. And here we are again today. And you know what you have in the streets? Foreign flags. Foreign flags in the streets. When do Americans get their day to celebrate?
So that's Owen Schroyer, and he's echoing the sentiments of many other people. And so Alex Jones has totally jumped the shark on this. He has become such a propagandist for the Trump administration, and I don't know why. You know, could be many different reasons, but Alex has got his issues, of course. But look, stuff that he is posting on his X account is pretty shocking. And, you know, I have great regard and, respect for what Alex is a pioneer in alternative media and an unbelievably great documentary filmmaker back in the day. But what he's become in recent years is just a sort of parody of himself, really. And he's just pumping out all this regime change propaganda for Trump. I mean, it's endless. But this is, here he look at this video here. He's playing a video that's, he's claiming it's a U.S. Attack on Caracas, and he's saying, fiery angels fell, deep thunder rolled around their shores, burning with the fires of orc. And it's this video playing here. You look at, does this look familiar to people? Well, it should, because it's not from Venezuela. These are Iranian missiles raining down on Tel Aviv. Alex is using Iranian clips saying it's America hitting Venezuela. I mean, basically the worst kind of level of viral fake news. Look at this. I mean, this thing's been debunked so many times. But this is the level of propaganda that some of these big platforms are engaged in. And it's just endless. Endless, endless, endless. And that isn't even the most of it. But, and here he is, he's doing these sort of takes from the car here, saying what's really happening in Venezuela, and Maduro this, Maduro that, and just Trump saving us from the gangs and the drugs. It's so stupid. And the Monroe Doctrine, Alex is talking, I mean, this is, the Monroe Doctrine was to keep European powers from recolonizing after the War of 1812. Trump doesn't even understand the basic history. He likes this term Monroe Doctrine, but he doesn't know what it means. And the main concern, of course, was the British recolonizing the near abroad of the United States, this early 19th century. The Monroe Doctrine wasn't about the United States pillaging and plundering other countries in their hemisphere. That's not the Monroe Doctrine. So they've fetishized something from history and mischaracterized it to justify massive criminal activity. It's kind of ridiculous. These people don't know what they're talking about. And and here's one more for the roll call here. We can't let Tulsi Gabbard off the hook. This is the supposed director of national intelligence, the DNI. It's a great title, DNI. Sounds impressive. But Tulsi Gabbard just gave this speech recently, and honestly, you can't make this up. She is absolutely crickets on what we have seen in the last 24 hours. So listen to Tulsi.
The old Washington way of thinking is something we hope is in the rearview mirror and something that has held us back for too long. For decades, our foreign policy has been trapped in a counterproductive and endless cycle of regime change or nation building. It was a one-size-fits-all approach of toppling regimes, trying to impose our system of governance on others, intervene in conflicts that were barely understood, and walk away with more enemies than allies. The results? Trillions spent, countless lives lost, and in many cases, a creation of greater security threats. The rise of Islamist terrorist groups like ISIS. President Trump was elected by the American people to put an end to this. And from day one, he has showed a very different way to conduct foreign policy.
Oh, really? Has he now, Tulsi? A very different way to conduct foreign policy. So this is what I tweeted. Tulsi Gabbard needs to resign now or be unmasked as one of the biggest political frauds of our era. Today we see bombs raining down on Venezuela, U.S. troops being deployed in another regime change war based on 100% fake intelligence, fabricated evidence, some of which have been laundered by Tulsi herself as the director of national intelligence. If they had anything, it would have been all over the global media over the last 3 months. They have no evidence to back up these claims of narco terrorism. Nothing. And her, whose whole identity is based on, oh, I'm against regime change wars, if she doesn't speak up and resign, after she's already been thrown under the bus last March when her intelligence assessment was that Iran wasn't producing a nuclear bomb, and Trump threw her under the bus and said, I don't care what she says, and she just kept her mouth shut. Why? Because Tulsi Gabbard, and this tweet I did has, 200,000 views. That's not bad. So people agree with me. Tulsi Gabbard has been promised either a vice presidential seat for the 2028 elections as J.D. Vance's vice president, or she's been promised funding for a presidential run. That's why she's keeping her mouth shut. She doesn't have any principles. She doesn't believe in any of the platitudes that she used to cultivate her political brand. If she did, she'd resign now. And if she resigned and blew the whistle on this egregious criminal enterprise, she would have so much support from the American people, but she works for the mob now. She is a swamp creature, as is Donald Trump is next level swamp. That's just the reality of the situation. So let's carry on here. So this is basically what you're dealing with. This is the level of the White House. This is what they tweeted out. FAFO, no games. That's the president. After waging an illegal war, this is what he puts out. This is so ridiculous. This is just, it's childish and stupid And you really got to worry about, these are not, they're supposed to be serious people, but it's debatable if they are. FAFO. F around and find out. And it's the President of the United States who's just done a smash and grab, and this is what they tweet out. I mean, these people are out of control. If only it ended there, folks. And this is Katie Miller. So this is Stephen Miller, who's Trump's advisor, strange character. This is his wife, who has a podcast. No one's ever heard of her. And because she's in the White House, she now is using that to promote her podcast. It's just a propaganda outlet, basically, for the administration. So she says soon. That's a picture of Greenland. Take a closer look at that. She's saying soon the United States is going to steal or take over Greenland. This is just one of many examples. This is someone in the White House, the wife of Stephen Miller. Obviously, total pro-Israeli to the hilt, as you can imagine. That goes without saying. This is Elon Musk. Congratulations, President Trump. This is a win for the world and a clear message to evil dictators everywhere. Okay. This is the first, these are the only things that Elon can actually comment on safely. And there's a picture of Maduro basically with blindfolds on a U.S. ship somewhere, at Iwo Jima. I mean, it's just ridiculous. What is Elon's actual interest in this? Well, there's a closer look there. It's this. That's Elon's interest. In support of the people of Venezuela, Starlink, free broadband service. So again, it's about the money for Elon. He also provided free broadband service for the Nazis in Ukraine and boasted about it, the Azov Battalion in Mariupol. There are no angels in war, right, Elon? Anyway, free speech. I have a right to free speech. I can criticize Elon. One would hope and not get censored on X. He's not that petty. So what is it all about, folks? Notice how this story just got basically buried. The Epstein files. Look at Kash Patel. Look at the look on his face. He's thinking what you're thinking. Right, Kash? What's that? A picture of Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald, and his wife, who I believe was introduced to him by Epstein. That's interesting and very inconvenient. The cover-up of the Epstein files by the Trump administration. Of course, that's all been put on the back burner because of this great, glorious regime change war that's been cooked up. And that's what people are worried about. Where is this going to end? Where is it going to end? These people are going to drive us to war because it's not going to stop with Venezuela. Now that they are high on their own supply, they're going to want to take out, they've already tried to assassinate Putin. Trump's playing stupid like he doesn't know what happened. Oh, I didn't know about the drone attack. The CIA didn't tell me. These people are dangerous, dishonest, underhanded, reckless, and dangerous. And not only that, Donald Trump is basically a sock puppet of the Israeli lobby. He is a sock puppet of the Israeli lobby. He is up for sale, and he's under their full control. He is not independent. That should scare everybody. But that's the situation that we're in. And if I didn't say that, I would be lying because that's the truth and everybody knows it. Now you can see the results of this are people that have a very, very outsized opinion of their competence right now. Trump's goal in Venezuela is to purge the government of any socialist or Chavista elements, and they will do that either by killing them, by buying them off, or starting a civil war in Venezuela. That's the fact, okay? That's where this is going to end, if it is going to end. That's where eventually it goes. And this is what we're warning people about. That's the end game. And you have a situation where the majority of the people in that country support this president. He did win the last election. Saying that he didn't is U.S. propaganda. It was regime change propaganda to pave the way for this operation. Why would you believe anything that Washington says about anything? These people are habitual liars. They will say anything, make up any fake case to take out or to steal or to remove any government or install any puppet that they feel that they deserve to have. And this has full support of the Democrat Party. The Democrats are up to their eyeballs in this criminality. That's why there's no pushback, because it's a bipartisan agenda. That's why. The Don Rowe Doctrine, ridiculous. This is just the lowest ebb in the history of the United States. Mark my words. This government will go down in history as the most corrupt U.S. government in the history of the United States of America. And it might even be the last one, the last government at this rate. Something to think about. I said that before, and I was proven right. Again. Let's take a break. We'll be joined by our teammates on the other side. Longer monologue than usual. I mean, that was just a small percentage of the material that I wanted to cover, but we're on time constraints, folks, so we're going to have to break right now. And when we come back, hopefully that our teammates from ACR are still hanging with us after that long stretch, but we're living in certain times, aren't we? We're living in certain times. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. Time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love, all peoples of the world as one. revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace.